Daring in the Desert, Chapter 7. In May of 1887, something happened that proved both Lilius and her friend wrong. Lilius heard a missionary called Edward Glennie speaking about his work in North Africa. It was a Thursday evening, and Mr. Glennie started his talk by telling the audience that they had been in Algeria in North Africa the previous Sunday. Remember, this was in 1887, and there were no airplanes back then. If Algeria is as easy to get to as that, Lilius thought, I could spend half the year there and the other half at home. God spoke to her through Edward Glennie that night, and Lilius's heart was set on Algeria from that day on. At the end of the meeting, the speaker said, "Is there anyone in this room God is calling to North Africa?" In her heart, Lilius answered, "It's me. God is calling me." Some months later, she and her sister Jacqueline talked about the future. "Are you very disappointed that the mission you applied to won't allow you to join them because of your weak heart?" Jacqueline asked. Lilius thought for a minute. "I was at first," she admitted. "But they have agreed that I can go to Algeria and work alongside them. I don't think they wanted to take me on as one of their missionaries because of my health. It would have been quite a responsibility." "Is that what you're going to do?" "Yes," said Lilius, "it is. And I've arranged to do some months of training at Mildmay Hospital before we go." Jacqueline smiled. "I'm going to miss you. After all, you are my young sister." Laughing, Lilius reminded her that she was 35 years old. The weeks that followed were very busy. Lilius and her dressmaker discussed what clothes should be made. Suitable shoes were bought and hats to guard against the sun. Of course, clothes weren't the only things that needed to be prepared. Not knowing what would be available in Algiers, Lilius had to take all she might need. The pile of books grew and grew. Of course, there were her painting things. She couldn't forget any of them. The 5th of March, 1888, was a very special day. Lilius and her friend Lucy Lewis climbed aboard a train in London's Waterloo Station. A large group of women stood on the platform and sang a hymn to them as the train built up steam and began, very slowly at first, to chug out of the station. The train took the two women to Southampton, where Blanche Hayworth was waiting to join them. All three were on their way to Algeria. At Southampton, the women boarded the paddle steamer that would take them on the next leg of their journey. "I feel I know Algeria," Blanche said, as the great paddles turned and kept them moving forward. "But the truth is, I only know about it." "I know nothing about Algeria," a woman they'd met in the boat said. "So tell me what you know." Blanche was very happy to do that, and Lilius and Lucy were right there to fill up any facts that she missed or correct anything that she got wrong. Algeria stretches along the south coast of the Mediterranean Sea and runs south right to the Sahara Desert. "It's the second largest country in Africa," said Blanche. "But most people live on the little strip of land along the coast." "That strip of land is about 100 miles from north to south," Lucy added. "South of that are the Atlas Mountains," Blanche continued. Her fellow passenger's face lit up. "Oh, I've heard of them," she smiled, feeling very pleased with herself. The women talked on and on. There was plenty of time to talk on a sea voyage. It was in the evening of March 8th that the ship neared the Algerian coast and the port of Algiers. Lilius sat down and began to write. The first peaks of land came into sight, dim and purple. We went below for a time, and on coming up again, there was a far-stretching cluster of golden stars, the lights of Algiers. The following morning, she took up her pen once again. "I shall never forget the loveliness of our first sight out of our porthole of the Arab town, rising tier above tier in a flow of cream color against the blue-gray western sky. The water glimmered in a blue gold below, and a flock of gulls sailed and wheeled between us and the land. Lilias, Blanche, and Lucy had arrived. They were in Algeria. The three young women stood on the upper deck and sang the same hymn their friends had sung as their train left Waterloo Station in London just 4 days before. Now they were here. It seemed like a world away. They knew nobody and didn't speak a word of Arabic. If they were in the least worried about that, it certainly didn't show on their smiling, joyful faces.